Now, wackademia is, of course, the wacky world of academia, and that's it's really getting out of control now. You've got books in America, one called American Girl or something, which is advising young girls to explore the world of transgenderism and puberty blockers. You know, this stuff is madness, as well as dangerous.
Can I read you an extract from this?
Please
Because
do,
I saw the headlines and I'm like, there's no way this book is going to be advising girls to get puberty blockers or telling them about, you know, how they could do that if they feel uncomfortable in their body. But it's actually precisely what it says. It says, if you haven't gone through puberty yet, the doctor might offer medicine to delay your body's changes, giving you more time to think about your gender identity.
What?
Are you kidding me?
I know, this is serious stuff. We laugh at this stuff, but it's going on in schools. It's out of control, James.
Well, it's really, really dangerous stuff because we do know that in the vast majority of cases where people present with some sort of gender dysmorphia as early teens, that these issues do tend to resolve themselves. It doesn't say that there aren't some people who legitimately have these real issues around this, but to start planting this seed in a society where this is already being blared absolutely everywhere, it's really, really, I think, irresponsible.
But this is a doll maker. This is a doll maker that puts out this girl's guidebook, and that's in there. So just the company and where it's appearing, this isn't some medical journal or some website you might go to as a confused teenager. This is in a book. A girl's guidebook put out by a doll maker.
And this is where the really bizarre thing is. And this is where it's so scary, I think, for parents and grandparents, because they'll be out at the shops, they'll be, picking up gifts. Somebody might pick this up and think, oh, this looks like a perfectly
girl's
good,
guidebook. Nice.
Whatever, great, could help her out, whatever. And then suddenly, you've let this in, and you're going to create all sorts of confusion, all sorts of issues, and parents just don't know what messages are being transmitted and I think snuck in, to their kids' lives. And it's really, really...
Well, you're right, parents don't know. And part of the problem is that these teachers are boasting about the way they are making sure the kids don't tell their parents. So you will have teachers saying, change your pronouns, do this, but don't tell your parents.
And this is the thing, though, Rowan. This is the thing, Rowan. It's with all of these things. It's not just gender identity issues. All of these things, there does seem to be this real push. And it's a push that we have seen from the left since really the French Revolution, which is to separate parents from their children, to divide the family, divide the family unit, because the family unit is a unit of resistance against totalitarianism. And it sounds like I'm making a big deal about it. Well, I am, because that's really what we're dealing with here.
And you're right. This isn't just a issue to do with the trans agenda.
No, it's much bigger than that.
Absolutely. This is the Marxist playbook. This is how you seize power by, like you said, dismantling the family.
And this is the thing. Sorry, I just want to go on to this because this is a really important story that came out earlier this week. We weren't going to talk about it, but the big study that was done, I think by ANU, I might have that wrong, about the Australian electorate and how they voted in the last election. And it found that the younger you were, the more likely you were to vote Labour or Green. And I think something like 1 out of 4 voters under 35 voted for a coalition party. Now, put aside the electoral issues there, what does that tell you is going on in the schools? The schools where, by the way, they have no interest in educating people because, if you look at the PISA and the TIM scores and the international rankings, they've been making kids stupider at the same time as they've been propagandizing them. Talk to people with kids in schools. All you hear about is, they do welcomes to countries constantly. They do this constantly. They do these gender things constantly. And they do that to separate, kids from their parents, but also to make kids go along with their agenda. And now we see it at the ballot box. It is the old Gramscian long march through the institutions becoming reality in Australian politics.
Well, they've actually marched all the way through the institutions and they've torched them on the way through, and that's what we are living through. And where is the Liberal Party standing up and calling this stuff out and fighting the culture wars on our behalf? Because we've been left to fight it alone, parents, grandparents and others left to fight these culture wars alone without the Liberal Party getting in there. One Nation's Mark Latham and Pauline Hanson are some of the very few people who actually do fight these culture wars on our behalf.